welcome. My name is Christinajunge, love and leadership mentor. I'm going to be talking about relationships, how we can get into our feminine, the women, and how you men can get into your masculine. And I'm going to read a little bit about a comment, a part of a comment which was posted by a subscriber. And I want to talk about the outside, how you carry yourself, the inside, how you, let's say, feel with yourself, how you understand, you women, to get into your intuition, into your body, into the receiving part of yourselves, and how you men can become the decision makers again, become into a success thinking, into a doing again, and not staying in this posture which has been imposed on men throughout or after the sexual revolution to become some sort of second-class women who are sitting there on the sofa, couch potatoing, and getting out of your testosterone processes. And the women, the same, how to get out of those masculine processes, emasculating men. And I'm going to read about a little bit of this comment right now and how this all has to do, listen, with not being in narcissistic relationships or abusive relationships. This is key, what I'm going to say about all this. So stay until the end. If you'd like to subscribe, I'll be happy to have you. This community is beautiful. And give me your comments. Give me your like if you like it. And give me your comments. I learn so much from your comments. It is very beautiful for me. Let's get into it. Let's get going. The comment about the upbringing of this woman, of this subscriber, she was saying, well, it makes total sense. My mother was like a type of narcissistic mother, a dominating person, and my father was, I put in my words, aloof, an aloof person, a withdrawn person, and a person who could obviously not set boundaries to the woman. Then she said, I learned this behavior and this has become my way of relating. So I had to take care of both of them, like the father and the mother, emotionally, basically. So she became the doer of probably trying to earn their love. She didn't say it like that. But this is usually what these kind of dysfunctional relationships, let's say, engender, It is not love because people are not in their fullest. So everybody is making sure that everybody else is taking care of them emotionally while they don't allow it to. I'll get into this a little bit deeper. The result was, this is what she says, so I did in the relationships most of my life, the chasing and the running. I chased and ran behind men who were emotionally, unavailable. Yeah? Because I am, as a woman, unavailable if I'm a chaser. I'm not in my receiving part. I'm not in my settled part. I'm not in my emotional part. I'm not in my part where I can be protected, where I can be in this space of being under security of a man, of somebody who vigilates, let's say, the surrounding and protects me. So she goes on. If I was lucky to catch a man, I quickly grew frustrated with them because, as you say, they were quite effeminate themselves and could not provide me what I really was wanting, containment. Okay, and then I jump towards the lower part of the comment, which is also very interesting, and that now she understands that this containment she grew to understand this in a therapeutic process, to contain herself and to not be chasing after men anymore and after their love, after their emotional involvement. And that she, in response, now doesn't respond to an unavailable man anymore, but that she starts to connecting with her inner feelings, which gives her containment, you know. Let me see if I can get this put apart. I think just by the comment we can learn so much about containment, about feminine and masculine roles, and the entire video actually originated because many women ask me. Of course, men don't ask me that much because what should I tell them? But I can tell you, men, also some ideas of how to become again more masculine and or get more into your masculine side. But the women ask me, how do I do it? How do I get into my feminine? And I can tell you, it's a scary place for women who have learned that the surrounding is insecure, that the surrounding is not safe, that we need to take care of ourselves, that there is no male figure which is taking care of us, which is going to be in their masculine, which is going to be in their protective state. Yeah, she said that somewhere up earlier. Her husband, her mother's man, who could provide but could not protect, you know. Like somebody who brings in the money, this is not enough, you know, to be in a masculine. It needs to be that a man also, now listen, man, that you set boundaries, and not only to the enemies outside, but if you have the enemy in the house and you don't recognize it because you have an aggressive woman and a woman who's stepping into her masculine, you need to understand that the enemy is buried right there. And I understand that it's really difficult to distinguish because we all have grown up in either these same dynamics, or it was a way and it keeps on being a way to protect our emotions and to protect our hurt parts, which is probably, again, a bit difficult for men to access, you know, because they say like, what do you mean vulnerability? You know, what is all this? This is a very feminine expression, but I will try to get more into behaviors and hopefully make both sides understand a little bit more how you can get possibly, like in a first step, more into your feminine, the women, and more into your masculine, the men. Just to start up with, I'm asking you something, entering the entire discussion. How do you carry yourself? How do you walk? Do you walk bowed down? Do you walk down visionless? Do you walk in a manner which reflects that you as men don't have to say anything, you know, and or that you are aloof, or that you are not the decision maker, that you are not the one who's chasing, you know, be it your goals, or be it after a woman, or be it after the daily things, you know, this active one, this one who has goals in front of him. And you, woman, how do you walk? How do you carry yourself? Are you bowed down? Are you always in this hurry? Are you always in your head? Are you always being almost chased by like an inner feeling or thought or state of having to chase after your goals, after your to-dos, after your decision making, after you protecting yourself, after you providing for yourself? And if you have to do it, excuse me, because many of the women in this society are not living in relationships where they are protected. Either they're not living in relationships, or they're not living in relationships where this masculine, let's say, form is present. And if a woman is in her masculine, she will not have a masculine man who represents, who embodies these traits. all right? So how do you get, you woman, out of this inner state, let's put it like almost a body posture of running and chasing and doing and making and being angry? You know, always this being angry is so connected with having to defend myself as a woman. I can get this like bland and relaxed and protected, and we say this feminine phase at the moment when I know I'm protected, when I know I don't have to chase away all those, you know, bad animals which are coming up, you know, from the jungle. It's almost like this. That we get into this angry and chasing off even men, you know, because we don't trust them, because we don't respect them, and we don't think they are there for something good for us, but that we have to, in addition, take care of them or keep them away from us because they are crossing our boundaries if they are present at somehow or at some point. Besides all this behavior we have gotten into as women, which is a very unprotected sexual behavior, either that you have lived very early on, and which is also really a result of effeminated men which are seeking sexual activities around children, men, boys or girls. But we do have lots of women who have lived one or the other way under the supposed sexual freedom, have lived sexual abuse in fact. And this makes a woman very unprotected. Not to talk about men. I know we're having much like getting out of the dark ciphers, how do you say this, the dark numbers, the not reported numbers. We are having also a high amount of men having passed through sexual abuse by a male or by a female. Okay, I don't want to get into this right now, but I want to say that there has been damage, and the damage on the woman with her broken sexuality, with her broken identity of a dignified sexuality, of a dignified body, of a person who is entirely whole, has so much influence on how we carry ourselves. Not, you know, besides the psychological parts of living relationships where we haven't perceived men being protectors, men being emotionally available. And this doesn't mean that men are there on the sofa, sitting there and coming into their feminine part, but men who are available and who are, I always call this, I don't know if it would be the right word right now to use, but who penetrate a woman first, let's say an adult woman, by asking her that she can ventilate, that she can talk, that she can talk about her emotionality, you know, and that she can vent things off, and then come into her protected state, and come into her understood state, and come into her safe state, and come into a state where she is then opening up, because a man was, I call this penetrating, before he wanted to get physical with her. Now, when I talk about women having, let's just talk about the woman in this respect. A woman who has known a man as sexually crossing her boundaries, as a man who's unavailable, as a man who's not a protector, as a man who's not in his manhood, who is not in his protective state, who is not in his masculinity, whatever this all means right now. We need to understand that this is a woman who is possibly not in contact with her own emotions, with her own worth, with her own dignity, with her being worthy, with her being lovable, with her being precious, with her being sacred. I always call this the sacred femininity, where this broken femininity was pushed on her, or where she was broken. You're not going to be broken forever, only until you understand how you have been broken, and you can restore this. This is not a problem, okay? But you need to restore it. And if you don't understand, woman, that the sexuality you have lived, that people have told you that you can like offer this intimacy and this everything, opening up to a complete stranger, to a person you have no, let's say, emotional bonding to, and who will not take care of your kids, and who probably doesn't want to have kids, and who doesn't want to commit to you, and isn't emotionally available, and a person who doesn't chase you, and a person who doesn't provide for you, and a person who doesn't protect you, then you need to understand that you have a broken sacredness of your sexuality and of your femininity. Okay? You can shout out loud, I can do with my body what I want to. Of course you can do, But don't ask yourself why you don't come into a healthy relationship afterwards. Okay? You can do everything with your body. It's yours. Okay? But if you understand the, let's say, the follow-up, which is implicit in having a broken sexuality, not being protected, not being emotionally contained by the same man who is, getting into you, which is absolutely sacred, and which is absolutely something, the most wonderful thing in the world. I don't want to, how do you say, what's the... Puritanism, is that the word in English? I don't want to defend the idea of not living your sexuality. Of course you want to live your sexuality, and you want to live it with a man, a man who commits, a man who will hold you afterwards, who is not going to run the next morning or the same night, who doesn't care if you're going to come out pregnant, and who doesn't care about his offspring, and having to go to work and to look for the offspring. Or you just, dump them somewhere. This is not the way. That's not being protected, and this is not what you're looking for. You just haven't been told. I need to say it like this. Excuse me, please. You can do whatever you want with your body, but be very aware of what your emotional world is. So coming back, this is very central. Coming back into your femininity, or you wanting to come back in your sacred, I call this sacred femininity. This is sacred. This has a veil over it. This has standards. This has principles, this femininity. And this has boundaries, and this is protected by the standards and principles, and by knowing to be safe by yourself, knowing to be secured by saying no to somebody who just wants to feed off of you, who just wants to pull something like a vampire, take something out of you, some gratification, leave their semen in you, and go off, because, and now I need to get into this whole male part, where men say, I don't want to live with a crazy woman, A man would leave their DNA wherever, This is like written into their DNA. They would just do it. This is their thing. A woman knows she has to take care of her offspring, and she needs to look for them, and she needs to be safe, and she needs to be provided for, and she needs to be protected. A man doesn't. A man doesn't mind having like many great little men, how he is all over the world. This is just how evolution has worked out for men, though I think we're a little bit over the pure evolutionary part of history, and I think we are at a point where we don't only want to live happy lives, we also want to live happy lives in relation. We have said for long enough that I can be with myself, and there's still many of you who say, I'm by myself, that's good enough. I'm not going to put up with this BS, And that's fine. But I know even you could come to a point, and if you watch those videos, it might be that there's going to be something triggered inside of you, that you start saying, hold on, are you saying this is possible? Are you saying we're going to give the history a turn right here? I'm saying, yes, we are. The entire relationship community does it. Exploring with contemporary technology, our sexuality, how our hormones work, and how our brains work, and that they are different, men and women. This almost obliges us, to live a new sexuality, to live a new relationship status, let's put it like this, and to get into a new form of relating, not only with ourselves, but to also understand how and why we relate, and that we are different, men and women. Now I'm getting back to the men. So you men, you now find all kinds of women being all crazy locas, and you're all like, I don't want them in the house, I don't want a woman who needs me to contain her emotionally completely, to be her psychologist, to be her entertainer, to be her runaround, to be the one who's she's getting hard on, where she's, where she's getting down on. I can't use those words. Someone who would like scold him, or someone who would not be in a friendly manner, live with you, and who would not be in her feminine, like a man saying, we living, me with another man, another testosterone hanging around. You're like, you know what, I pass, You still want to get the fun? Well, that's male. It's not psychology, it's physiology. So, you men, what you don't want is a completely dependent woman on you emotionally. And this is what our micro families, our nuclear families are providing at this point. It is women who don't have a support system and who need a man while they are kind of men to take care of her and of all her needs, especially emotionally, and women who are emotionally not available, and women who are this status quo women who are having nothing to give, who don't have talents, who don't have passions, who have nothing which distinguishes them, who have nothing what they are proud of themselves, who have nothing which how they can understand their identity and their individuality and their specialness. And this is nothing a man is interested in, in these kind of women where we have become so needy emotionally, as women, especially because this is our constitution, our physiological, our hormonal and biological constitution, that we become emotionally so dependent on him providing everything for us emotionally, that this is no longer possible for a man. And besides that, since we don't have clear social guidance, clear emotional guidance, clear, let's say, containment outside of the relationship, no man wants this. And then, if we women are all the ones who want the man to be the only one who will take care of us, this becomes a total prison for a man. Okay, where we in the end become out of our masculinity because we don't trust anymore, and we don't respect anymore, and we don't give our booty anymore. That we are no longer something who can hold a man, who can be there for a man, because we become so needy, and we become so demanding, and we become so, repelling to men, that this is no longer interesting for men. So what's good enough for them is, excuse me, my dear men, just trying to get the differences out here. I don't want to judge neither you nor us women. I'm trying only to depict what is going on according to to science. Let's put it like this. According to what we know about hormones, according to what we're knowing about brain functioning, and according to what we now understand how men or women relate, by being women in our traits and by being men in your traits, which come from the chromosomal part. Now, how can we get more into our feminine, and how can you men step more into your masculine? The feminine part, I can tell you that much all up front, is going to be getting into your intuition, getting into your body. What we've tried so long now, to be no longer sex objects and to be no longer so attractive to men that they would reduce us to being a sex object. We have become sex objects because we no longer understand what is the value we are carrying inside of us. What are our talents? What are boundaries? What are standards and principles which men need and love? This is what men love. So this is something you can get into when you want to heal or get back into your sacred femininity as a woman, is to get back into your body, like start embodying yourself again. Stop being in your head. Stop being this. You need to make decisions all the time. You need to follow your goals all the time. You need to do and make all the time. But understand stepping back and how a feminine way of doing this could be. Okay? And once you're done with perceiving your goals as a woman, once you're done in doing and making decisions and being here in analytic, in a male analytic way of being, start getting back into your body, being there, being attentive, being in your calm, being in your harmonious way, being in your, yes, emotional, but it is not this screaming up, angry emotional part, which is so much built out, created out of this hurt and broken femininity, which is a broken and hurt sexuality and body, but becoming an attractive woman again, becoming a fluid woman again, becoming an intuitive woman again, becoming a woman who is sexually attractive but who doesn't give herself. And sexually attractive is all the difference than wearing, that you can see everything and you're showing everything to everybody. It is just your broken consciousness who does that, who thinks you are free while you're doing this, and it brings you into a position of control and of being able to, let's say, to guide a man, and then to give it away, and that you are in all freedom of being able to do so, and you are, But you're not going to get what you really want. You're going to be having babies, you're going to be having sexuality, you're going to be eating, pills all your life long, and your body's going to suffer, but your soul is going to suffer. You are not made for this. So I really want to get into this, start dressing with dignity, but in femininity, You can be attractive, but attractive doesn't mean that you give it away. And it means that if you want husband material, he's not going to take like a whore, excuse me. He's not going to take a whore. Everybody knows that. Become wife material, and you're going to be a wife. I'm sorry to say it like that harsh, it's not pretty. And as I said, you can do what you want with your body, But if you want to be and become a wife, you need to become and practice this chaste way of living, of really respecting your body and really getting into your feminine, which doesn't mean saying yes and doing everything a man wants from you, all the different. Like a real feminine woman has standards, has boundaries, has principles, has this golden robe, this red robe, she's holding in front of her and saying, first you show me what you got to give here, all right? Before giving it all and thinking in return, because you've given it all, you're going to get it all back. And now you bound him because he chased you and he was all after you and excuse me. And maybe he even said that he loves you. Men say all kinds of things, Men need to show you by action. Excuse me. So, you want to become this feminine. You want to start to take care of your outside. You want to be in this protected way, showing who you are as a feminine. And a feminine is always somebody who guards herself. We're living in social systems, so you say, well, I'm going to get, this and this social support if he ain't working. But this is not our genetics, Our genetics is watching that I, as a woman, are going to be protected and provided for, and that hopefully this guy's going to make me happy at night, It is not this broken consciousness where I am coming up against a man, that the more I'm opening up too early to sexual experiences, to living together, to oversharing, to showing my entire history, to all this opening up, this is not how I get a man closer, and this is not how opening up and how becoming feminine works, This is just going to be a really different path. All right, getting into the intuition, getting into a receiving part, getting into this, and this is really something I want to bring over, is this learning to say thank you. If you start becoming more a part, not so much who's doing, and you can be doing at a moment when you are in this relationship, Of course, this man wants that you cook, that you provide inside the house, that you are emotional with him, that you are caring, that you are all these things. But a man can't have it once you're in a dating process, or once he hasn't decided for you yet. So as women, get into an attitude of receiving and of saying thank you. The more you think that you deserve being taken care of, being held open the door, being, that you can step in first, that somebody would pick up something for you, that somebody would help you carry you something, or whatever it is, There's always like these, they are all inherent to the masculine, which is this provider, which is this protector, and you will find it all the way, all along, wherever you go once you come into your feminine, which is slowing down, which is staying with yourself, which is getting out of your head, which is being with yourself, which is taking care of this beautiful body, no matter how thick, how thin, how big, how small, how tall, no matter, it has nothing to do. It has only to do that you become friends with your body. And you cannot be friends with your body if you're giving it away for free. Excuse me. It's just not the way how it is. And a man can smell this. A man can smell if this is a whore or if this is a queen. Become a queen. Become the one who's being respected and in her feminine. Become the one who nobody would want to transgress unless he's coming in a very gentleman way. Become this desirable feminine. Become this one who is content and enough for herself, who loves herself, who develops a support system of other women and hopefully at some point also of other men, as friends, and who are there and who support you on your way of becoming more feminine. And you will see the more feminine you become, you'll be getting into different circles, into different activities, into different communities, and you're just going to be on a very different plan than you were before, where you will, by law of attraction, be around other women who are more feminine and around other men who are more masculine. So for us women, it means getting out of this making, doing process. And this can be quite confusing, because at some point you want to be the one who's helping, you want to be the one who's assisting to kids and to other women and to, or maybe even a man. But understand that it is very hard for us to receive and to be served as women, because we feel vulnerable, we feel fragile, we feel we are no longer in our strength, and we are getting confronted, we are getting in contact with our broken part, with our broken femininity, with our broken sexuality, with our broken dignity, and with our broken integrity. Men, what can you do if you're still on? I'd love to have you too. Get out of your aloof states. Get out of your containment sexuality is a sexuality which knows to measure itself, which knows containment in sexuality. You might now say, well, it's just like that. Learn it, both of you. There is so much freedom in being able to balance our sexuality. You men, if you are getting used to a pornographic sexuality, you're going to be out of testosterone all the time. And you're going to be looking for excitement and gratification all the time out of yourselves. How you can generate testosterone? You can generate testosterone over decision making, over doing, over leading, over guiding, over protecting, over providing. And will it be emotional providing? If you say, I don't have a good job, I can't, it's not about finances. It's about an attitude. It's about being there. It's about holding a door. It's about putting boundaries. Setting boundaries to those women. No longer be a woman pleaser. Okay? Do it elegantly. If you now come up, and it might be, I'm having these men I'm working with, and they start to get out of these emancipated relationships with women. And it's not easy to set boundaries which are still showing their dignity and their integrity. You need to learn this. Start putting boundaries to women. No longer be the one being kicked around by a woman, No longer be this part. Learn this, how this feels. Stop being a couch potato. There's nothing against you being, coming at home and sitting there and being for a while a couch potato, but stop being a couch potato as a way of living. Start getting into your visions again. Start perceiving your goals again. Start leveling up. And again, this is the same for women and for men. How are you walking around? Are you all bowed over? Are you all, like aloof? Are you all like trying to be the good guy, the people pleaser, like the nice guy who doesn't like, how do you say this in English? I don't know right now how to say this, that you don't get into like negative contact somehow, that somebody would say, oh, he did, Start being a person who has his own identification, individuality, his own preset of mind, his own, how do I want to express this? Becoming somebody, and who is a man who leads, who is a man who sets boundaries, who is a man who has goals, who is a man who knows how to get out, who is a man who constrains himself, but who is being gentleman-like and manly and masculine with women and with kids and with other men, not having to respond like a woman, and really getting out of this. I can't stop insisting on this, how this hormonally works, on us, which is getting out of this minute sexuality where you're constantly in your estrogen processes. And you're sitting around, there's nothing against sitting around and being provided for by a woman in the house, or being the provider in the house, being the one who cooks and makes, all these beautiful things, and at night watching Netflix. But watch that you still have passion in your life, that you still have goals, that you still have a vision for your life, that you still feel being an agent of change in this society. That you are around other men, that you get into manly activities, that you get into your loud and manly ways here and there, everything what they have wanted to cut away from you, You don't need this. You need your tribe. You need to be roaring with the bears, sometimes. And then you come home and you're going to be all over with testosterone and learn how feminine sexuality works. That you don't like thrust into her at a moment where she's not ready, when you haven't penetrated her with your ear by chasing her, by involving her, by being around her, it's almost, I call this it's almost like massaging her, I mean, you can do this physically by massaging her, but the woman falls in love and opens up by you asking her, by her ventilating her emotions, by you telling her that she is beautiful and that she is desirable, and that you do love her if you are in a relationship, and to never stop doing this. And you're not going to be having this woman who's gonna cringe because you have developed a sexuality which is not a feminine sexuality. Get informed. This is full of the internet. The YouTube is full of ways teaching men how to understand the female sexuality and get into this. And we as women, we need to stop allowing a male sexuality over our bodies being broken by this again and again. It has so much to do with our sexuality. I'm sorry, that I'm all getting you into this. And it has to do with emotionality, and has to do with how much we love and appreciate ourselves. And it has to do with how we have grown up in our families, how we learned how closeness and distance work, how we've learned that power dynamics work, and who has the power and who's not the power. And then we understand also who is now in the feminine or masculine sides of their femininity or masculinity. So I think this was already a whole lot of it. Why are you in narcissistic relationships? Why are you in abusive relationships? Because you allow them to. Because you're not in your strength. Because you don't respect yourself. Because you have a broken femininity and you have a broken masculinity. And because you don't know, you haven't informed yourself. Nobody told you, we're just starting up. Nobody has told you that you are a king and that you are a queen, and they have standards, and they inform themselves, and they have dignity, and they have integrity. Integrity is that you do what you value, what you think is worth doing, what you think is correct to do, and do it even if nobody is watching, And also, when we get into the body and when we get into these outside things, while we say, our inside, our wounding and our ways of socializing, or of how we were socialized, have much to do with how we are Also watch outside of yourself. How is your house? How orderly or not orderly is your apartment, is your house, is your room where you're living? How orderly are your clothes? How orderly is your hair? How broken is all this what you have? Is there dignity in this? Is there something you would say this represents my masculinity? Or is it something which looks like as if you were a little bit too old child, walking around in jogging pants and with t-shirts, not really distinguishing you from, I don't know, something who's lying in hospital, It's like, get into this, start understanding this, that this has something to do which represents outside how you feel inside with yourself. I don't say that everybody who is wearing a white shirt is also a man or a woman of integrity. I don't say this, but I say if you want to become a man of integrity and a woman of integrity, this will be a part of your process of how you project yourself towards the outside, how you value yourself, and how you manage money. Also, it has much to do with you feeling worth, you being worth, you feeling what you deserve, and this has much to do. Check your finances. Check how this is a reflection of what you feel you're worth, of what you feel you're able to manage and to do. And again, maybe you're not living on credit, but are you generous too? Are you giving? Are you giving yourself, or are you holding on to this? Is your finances just another expression of your fear, of your anxiety, of your fear of unsafeness? And again, and if you are in debt, how can you get out of this? How can you value yourself? How can you inform yourself of strategies of being a person of more dignity in dealing with what is yours? Those are so great gifts which were given to you, everything you have. Are you cluttering? Are you having only broken stuff around you? And are you buying to discard afterwards? Or do you think you are worth it, having maybe a few things, but which are durable and which are of quality and which represent who you are more and more? So there's many questions around this. So you will attract who you are. And if you don't value yourself, if you think you're not worthy, if you think you're not lovable, you will have this outside of you. You will attract people by law of attraction into your life who will represent this for you, who you are. I hope this is helpful. This was helpful. God bless you, folks. If you want to, I would love you to be in this community, to subscribe. If you are interested in coaching, in a coaching program, you can apply for it to christina@christinajunge.com. It's down there linked. And God bless you. I hope we're having an interesting conversation about this in the comment section. I'm curious. Take much care. Check the videos out which are coming left and right. God bless you. Bye.